About the ecclesiastic of Barnai Roberto. Eczema is a change that affects the epidermis. Possible changes of the epidermis are ulceration, atrophy, loss of tissue, reducing its thickness. In an active period, the outer layer of the skin becomes hard, cracks, we lose feeling in it. However, during convalescence, reconstruction of the ulcerated epidermis takes place through the proliferation of its cells. Eczema is activated during the recurring conflict of lack of contact distance. So we would like to have a better contact with someone more often, to be in touch. Symptoms of eczema appear most often on the bumps of the body. The emotional appeal of this is the desire to embrace someone's shoulders, or the desire to take someone's hand. For example, I like when Mom takes my hand, but lately she does not do it, so I miss it. In this case, a skin ulcer occurs between the fingers of the hand. During convalescence, it happens that this symptom is also diagnosed as an eczema precisely. It is important that we talk about the epidermis, one disease which can be called many times, described in 100 ways. And although each symptom will have its name, we are still talking about the same thing. If the eczema appears on the elbows of the elbows, wrists, or under the armpits, that means we are missing the cover. I would like to hug someone, but I cannot, because he pushes me away, or he does not have this person at home, or I do not have any longer with me. It is a feeling of no contact touch. When someone has an eczema, he misses someone. In the active period of conflict alongside the ulcer for some time, there will also be forgotten. This is due to the fact that the center in the brain responsible for the management of epithelial tissues is located in the sensory cortex. And hemispheres which arise in the sensory cortex cause in it pathological changes which slows down the transmission of stimuli and suppresses the mind. The consequence of this is forgetfulness. But even it has its biological justification. 30. And what? Well, if someone bumps me so much that until I get that ulcer, it is a forgetfulness that I can deal with conflict more easily, not feeling so much yearning. Conclusion: forgiveness is intended to alleviate symptoms. If eczema appears on the outside of the forearm, this is a severe kind of barrier conflict. I want to deflect from something to fence. We also talk about fencing when symptoms occur on the outside of the hand. At the same time, we are talking about the problem of moving aside of separation. The longer the conflict lasts, the longer the ejaculation lasts. If a person affected by them deal with conflict very quickly, as if unnoticed, the skin is beautifully regenerated. In children, the symptoms of eczema are more common, because they are more sensitive to the need for physical contact. It is very important to them. Adults are no longer so sensitive at this point, unfortunately. But the children, very. And because children are more likely to fall into these conflicts, the symptoms are also more common. But it is also not abnormal or sick. This is a completely normal reaction. Thank God, or thanks to Mother Nature, this is not a serious matter. Maybe unpleasant. But when the conflict is resolved without any complications, these particular epidermis programs will end. Symptoms of eczema will be the same amount of time. How long was the active period of the conflict that triggered it? If the active conflict period lasts weeks, it's been a week since it's resolved. Still not impatient. After all, until the end of the special program remained weeks. This is true, but it must be somehow survived. A special feature of eczema is that if someone's conflict is renewed, This is the feeling in the skin that is gone. It ceases to hurt, itchy, tingling and pinching. When the conflict is over again, hypersensitivity symptoms will soon return. That is why I emphasize that if someone eats it, this is possible only in the period after the conflict ceases. It means that a person is moving in the right direction. He must only keep him not falling into conflict again. She very much itchy. Be careful not to fall into a vicious circle triggered by eczema. I hate the damned prickly, this terrible skin disease. So in order not to get back into a conflict, you must first be aware of it. Do not forget its existence. Secondly, symptom relief agents can be used. From the wet packs starting on the cooling menthol creams to the finished ones. One thing we must not forget, namely all these processes manage our brain. They have a specific unchangeable order. So if the active period lasts weeks, then the same period of regeneration and recovery will take time. Do not be impatient. And if the symptoms are unbearable, we should use them to relieve them. And let's be aware that the only cure, the only way for them, the only way to it, is not falling back into conflict. In other words, to achieve an effective and sustainable solution,